And we're back with our politics lead. Democrats, including possible 2020 hopeful Senators Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren, are gathering in New Orleans right now as the energy on the progressive left picks up steam ahead of the midterm elections. But some Democrats, especially in Washington, are fretting about the direction of the party and whether it's lurching too far to the left. CNN's Miguel Marquez is at this progressive conference in New Orleans. Miguel, all the energy in the party right now seems to be with the progressive grassroots. How do they respond to concerns that going too far to the left might alienate moderates needed to win in November?
Yeah, they respond very simply. They say, look, it's those ideals and positions that progressives take that will drive out voters, and the party at large better get on board. The yearly gathering of progressives, Netroots Nation, attracting the president's biggest detractors.
He is reckless, dangerous, and lawless. I think that he is a threat to the United States, to our people and our democracy.
One star of the show.
Why is he still president?
California billionaire Tom Steyer, who has spent millions running ads nationwide urging the impeachment of Donald J. Trump.
Why hasn't Congress started impeachment proceedings?
All the immigration talk now worries mainstream establishment Democrats.
Running a hypothetical campaign right now about having an impeachment vote when we could be spending that time and energy revealing to the American people how corrupt this administration is, I don't think that that's a productive way to go right now.
The fear, talking impeachment before the special counsel's investigation is complete, could turn off independents and moderates ahead of the midterms and beyond. Is there any concern that fissure between the far left and the center is going to hurt candidates in November and possibly the presidential contenders in 2020?
I don't think we should be quite so clever about pollsters. And I think that the people, the political establishment in Washington, D.C. should get back to much simpler questions, which is, are we telling the truth about the most important things in America? Are we standing up for the American people?
Potential 2020 contenders making their way to Netroots, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris.
Voting and supporting for Abdul El-Sayed for governor is the right thing to do.
And self-professed Democratic Socialist candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who upset an establishment Democrat in her primary and is now stumping for progressives nationwide.
We don't believe that the way forward and the way to win for progressives and for Democrats is to go moderate. We want to see candidates who are bold, who are visionary, and who speak to the people.
Republicans painting Netroots as now mainstream. In talking points sent to reporters, the Republican National Committee called Netroots a formerly fringe far-left progressive movement that has become a key force in moving the Democratic Party further left. Do you think the Democratic Party has moved to the left, or is this just a more open tent these days?
I do think that it's moving more and more left. I don't think that progressivism or liberalism is a far out idea anymore.
Now, another big issue here is abolishing ICE, or the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. There's a lot of room for disagreement here. Tom Steyer, Mr. Impeachment, says that you don't need to abolish it, just sort of repurpose it or redefine its remit. So in the midterms, maybe things like an abolish ICE won't matter as much because candidates run as individuals in their own districts. But for those 2020 possibles, there is plenty of room for disagreement. Jake?
All right, Miguel Marquez in New Orleans, thanks so much. Let's talk about the split. In addition to abolishing ICE and impeaching the president, there's raising taxes to fund universal Medicare and universal jobs and universal college tuition. Are you at all concerned that the party is moving too far to the left? No.
I mean, I think that the debate is so kind of crazy, right? Because we have the president doing a rally in which there are large numbers of people talking about a crazy QAnon conspiracy. And in the Democratic Party, there is a rich debate about things like universal health care and how to get people jobs. And there is a big tent in the party. There's Conor Lamb. There's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's a wide berth for a lot of people. Danny O'Connor's race, very different from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's race. But there is no equivalence between the extremes of the left and the right in this country.
You disagree, Amanda?
Well, I would say if you're a Republican who is sort of reluctant towards supporting Trump, you've gone comfortable with the amount of chaos and craziness that Donald Trump brings to America. And so if you're uncomfortable with that, but then you look at the Democrats and say, they're going to take my money, they're not serious about securing the border, maybe I can put up with another 4 years of that.
I think this will be a big debate in the presidential. I'll just say, I think there is going to be a debate. There will be a lot of Democratic candidates who don't call for the abolition of ICE. They will say, let's reform it, make it work more effectively. I think there'll be a big, wide debate about that and whether independents or former Republicans or others can support it.
I agree with you. I think it'll be a debate in the presidential election as it starts, sometime next year. But I think when you look at the election data from 2016, since 2016 until today, all the races, the special elections that we saw in 2017, Virginia, New Jersey, PA 18, as you were mentioning, Connor Lamb, the energy is around the issues. There were in Virginia, if you just look at Virginia alone, there were Republican suburban women who crossed over because of the healthcare issue.
Steve Bannon's ready to write them off.
Well, but I'm just saying that there are real issues that real kind of actual outcomes that we saw where people are energized, including suburban Republicans.
Right. I want to ask you about something that happened today. President Trump's daughter and White House advisor, Ivanka Trump, she was in an interview with Axios' Michael Allen. She separated with her dad on a number of issues, including separating migrant children from their parents. Take a listen.
That was a low point for me as well. I feel very strongly about that, and I am very vehemently against family separation and the separation of parents and children.
It's not just the president's daughter. She's an advisor, and she's out there saying that a policy that the president has put forward, that she's against it.
Yeah, listen, a lot of this administration, different to the Obama administration, has a lot of diverse voices. We've all heard them throughout the time. They say different things.
A lot of giggling over here.
I mean, it's a diverse voice. I mean, that's the type of environment you want. You want to have people who are.
In your administration.
I mean, I don't agree with 100% of the things that my family does. They're liberal Democrats. I mean, they're radical progressives. They're out of touch with America. Like the party keep going left.
What's unique about this situation is that Ivanka Trump seems to be one of the few people that is permitted to outwardly speak against her father, which to me speaks of the privilege that she enjoys in that administration, where she has no discernible duties, no accountability, and gets to see things that no one else is allowed to do.
She is part of a robust debate on policies that affect. This event that you just saw where she did this clip, this was a workforce development event where they made a pledge to the American workers. You had 25 companies pledge 4 million new jobs. She's actually doing something. Now, it's different that we want to focus on one sentence of an hour-long event. Well, that's fake news.
It's not fake news. It's a pretty big policy. That's not fake news, Brian.
It is. You actually had you had a specific event that had to do about the American workers. You had to do something that the administration is working on, and the only thing CNN wants to focus on is that particular question where there's a gap between the.
It's a major policy decision. That's Brian. Something you don't like does not become fake news.
No, fake news is fake outrage, and there's no outrage over this difference.
Can I just say one thing about this whole thing? Ivanka Trump is an advisor to the president. She has a job. The American people pay her. She says.
I think she takes $1 a year or whatever.
She has privileges from this job.
Yes.
She says this is a low point. I would just like to say to Ivanka Trump, and for you to say, here she is doing things. The thing for her to do, if she opposes family separation, there are children today, tonight, who will still go to sleep not knowing where their parents are because of Donald Trump's policies. And my suggestion to Ivanka Trump is maybe she should do something about that, work with DHS, and actually fix this problem, because we are talking months where children have been separated from their parents, and White House advisors who claim to care about that should actually do something, not just talk about it.
And Karine, there was another issue on which she separated from her president, and I'm sorry, we're in the media, we cover contradictions, we do it with Democrats, we do it with Republicans. Here's another issue where she separated from her father. It had to do with whether or not reporters are the enemy of the American people.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
No, I do not feel that the media is the enemy of the people.
Trump followed that interview up with a tweet saying, they asked my daughter Ivanka whether or not the media is the enemy of the people. She correctly said no. It is the fake news, which is a large percentage of the media, that is the enemy of the people. How do you interpret all this?
I mean, he should read the First Amendment. I mean, and so should Sarah Sanders, because when you read it, at the very top is the freedom of the press, and it's at the top of the Bill of Rights for a reason. And if he has a problem in how he's being covered, he should watch what he say. He should not attack the press. And the press is doing their job. They're covering him. And you can't have a freedom of the press. You can't run a democracy or have a proper democracy if you don't have the freedom of the press. And he needs to understand that as president.
Is the media free of criticism?
I'm not saying the media
is not. That's a simple question. Is it free of criticism? If the answer is yes, then you have a president.
Of the people,
he said fake news. He said fake news was the enemy of the people.
He says enemy of the people. He calls them fake news.
He said fake. I just heard the clip. It's true. Fake news. Why are we arguing over what the clip just said?
He did try to differentiate between media and fake news, but the problem is he describes fake news as ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, The Washington Post, and New York Times.
I don't agree with that.
No, that's a
I understand, but I don't agree with that.
You don't, okay.
But that's what we're arguing.
That's the same message that's relayed by Sarah Huckabee Sanders from the podium. Jim Acosta gave her multiple opportunities to show respect for the press, and she denied it every time, saying that because she has been aggrieved by unfair reporting and jokes and things like that, that yes, she agrees with the president that the press is an enemy of the people.
The fake news is different than the media in general.
But if you define 90% of the press as the fake news,
that is not what she said.
If you define 90% of the press as the fake news, if you define everybody except for Fox and Breitbart,
I don't think he said majority.
He said a majority in the clip.
Yeah, he literally. What he is saying is, fake news isn't necessarily, bad stories or bad sources or these anonymous.
That's how he means it.
No, he means the outrage that the media focus on particular things that the vast majority of America is not paying attention to, but the media says this is what's important. That's fake news. The media. Hold on, please let me finish. It's not positive news. It's just fair coverage. It's just fair coverage.
That's what you want.
We got to take a break.